All right. I will start in about 2 minutes. In the meantime, this is kind of a breakdown of what you need to know. Um, and then you can kind of see the first question that I'll do down below. This is going to be number 16 in your book. So if you want to look at it kind of before I start it, go for it. But other than that, this is pretty much all we need to know. This is a little bit, this seems simple when it's up on the screen like this. But there's a lot more kind of that goes into it. So don't be fooled by what it is. I'll kind of take you step by step through it, and then I'll take any questions that we have. All right. So next minute or so we'll start.
Place your bets.
Bet it on me, let it ride. Cold white Porsche cookie dough inside. Double D bitch, big titty hen tie. Money on the floor, watch it double 10 times. Bet it on me, let it ride. Broke white boy, put it all on the line. Lucky me, lit the Sin City on fire. Money on the floor, watch it double 10 times. Bet it on me, let it ride. I don't need no charity. I can bet it all, it's a lock, it's a guarantee. I can buy my mama house for always taking care of me. I can buy my ex a couple sessions of some therapy. She needs some closure, I think she needs some clarity. They pay for the exposure and you can see the parodies. All this shit's embarrassing to you, it's hilarious to me. Apparently I'm off this fatty talking like I'm Gary V. Look, I just wanna have a menage with Nicki Minaj. I just want a phantom, a ghost, a haunted garage. Major label Vegas, the game is just a mirage. I do not complain to my dealer, I play the cards. Started with a little, doubled then it tripled. Still unsigned, yeah, Scrooby never scribble. Got my chips in the middle, got a chip on my shoulder. You can add it to my total. Bet it on me, let it ride. Cold white Porsche cookie dough inside. Double D bitch, big titty hen tie. Money on the floor, watch it double 10 times. Bet it on me, let it ride. Broke white boy, put it all on the line. Lucky me, lit the Sin City on fire. Money on the floor, watch it double 10 times. Bet it on me, let it ride.
Welcome to Casino. Place your bets.
Bet it on me, let it ride. Cold white Porsche cookie dough inside. Double D bitch, big titty hen tie. Money on the floor, watch it double 10 times. Bet it on me, let it ride. Broke white boy, put it all on the line. Lucky me, lit the Sin City on fire. Money on the floor, watch it double
Place your bets.
Bet it on me, let it ride. Cold white Porsche cookie dough inside. Double D bitch, big titty hand tie. Money on the floor, watch it double 10 times. Bet it on me, let it ride. Broke white boy, put it all on the line. Lucky me, lit the Sin City on fire. Money on the floor, watch it double 10 times. Bet it on me, let it ride. I don't need no charity. I can bet it all, it's a lock, it's a guarantee. I can buy my mama a house for always taking care of me. I can buy my ex a couple sessions of some therapy. She needs some closure, I think she needs some clarity. They pay for the exposure and you can see the parodies. All this shit's embarrassing to you, it's hilarious to me. Apparently I'm off this satty talking like I'm Gary V. Look, I just wanna have a menage with Nicki Minaj. I just want a phantom, a ghost, a haunted garage. Major label Vegas, the game is just a mirage. I do not complain to my dealer, I play the cards. Started with a little, doubled then it tripled. Still unsigned, yeah, Scrooby never scribble. Got my chips in the middle, got a chip on my shoulder, you can add it to my total. Bet it on me, let it ride. Cold white Porsche cookie dough inside. Double D bitch, big titty hand tie. Money on the floor, watch it double 10 times. Bet it on me, let it ride. Broke white boy, put it all on the line. Lucky me, lit the Sin City on fire. Money on the floor, watch it double 10 times. Bet it on me, let it ride.
Welcome to Casino. Place your bets.
I haven't been talking this entire time. All I was saying is make sure these negatives are in parentheses because that makes a difference, right? Negative and then 11 squared is different than negative 11 times negative 11. But we do all this, we get 4607. We have to do the same thing for sum of y. So just do that. So 10 plus negative 2 plus 29 plus 14 plus 22 plus 18 plus 14 plus negative 2 plus negative 3 plus negative 10. And when we do this, we get 90. Then we're going to do the same thing for y squared. So 10 squared plus negative 2 squared plus 29 squared plus 14 squared plus 22 squared, and all of this. We add all that up, we get 2258. So that's part A. Part A is just being able to understand what those sums mean, and then actually doing that. All right. Part B says to use the results in Part A to compute the sample mean, the sample variance, and the sample standard deviation. This is where these directions don't really make sense to you because we found this in a different way, which I just realized like an hour ago, which is fine. It doesn't really matter. We should still be able to find it. But so sample mean is pretty much the only reason we need this. So x bar is going to be equal to the sum of x over n, which in this case is 103 over 10. So 10.3. That's our average. For y, that's the sum of y over 10. And in this case, that's 90 over 10. So that's 9. So that's the sample mean. Sample variance. To find the variance, we take the difference of squares and then sum all those together. So for example, so I'll kind of write this out first. So we would do the first term minus the average, so 11 minus 10.3 squared plus 0 minus 10.3 squared plus 36 minus 10.3 squared plus 21 minus 10.3 squared. For you guys, this is going to be a little bit shorter. I just picked one so we can understand the concept. I'm guessing that's Hubert. Hey. Or not. I don't know who you are. Okay, so we carry all this out. I'm going to mute myself while I do that. Okay, we do this and we get 3547.3. And then we can immediately find S from that. We just take the square root. Which is 59.56. Then we do the same thing for the y, so I gotta set this up. So I'll mute myself as I kind of write this out. Also, it kind of sucks because now I can't listen to music. I thought that was muted to you all, which is whatever. Okay, we do all this and we get 1448. So this is our standard deviation. Sorry, that's our variance. Our standard deviation is the square root of that. And when we take the square root of 1448, we get 38.1. Okay, so that's part B. C is asking basically which is more consistent. All right, so we either have the green stuff or the red stuff. The most consistent is going to be the least of each of those values. So part C, the what was it called? The Vanguard balance index is going to be the most stable. It's the most consistent because our standard deviation and our variance is lower. Okay, so what that means is that the spread of the data is lower, right? So when your variance is lower, that means the spread of the data is lower, and when the standard deviation is lower, that means the distance away from the average is lower, which is kind of the same thing. It's just a different way of measuring it. So that's what that means. All right, and that's part one. all of that. And I know that's a little tedious with all these numbers, but it's not hard. It's just you got to take your time doing it. I'll bring in 10 pounds of green beans for 3 points. No, that's over. So number 12 says sales insurance. Dorothy Kelly sells life insurance for the Prudence Insurance Company. She sells insurance by making visits to her clients' homes. Dorothy believes that the number of sales should depend to some degree on the visits made. For the past several years, she has kept careful records of the numbers of visits X she makes each week and the number of people Y who buy insurance that week. For a random sample of 15 such weeks, the X and Y values are following. And we have to do pretty much exactly what was on the last test, except this time I'm giving you the sum of X, the sum of X squared, the sum of Y, the sum of Y squared, and the sum of XY. All of that is right here. Okay, so we need to draw a scatter diagram. That's this part. We need to find the average of the X, the average of the Y, our slope of our line of best fit, our Y-intercept of our line of best fit, and the equation of that, and then plot that on the diagram. Then we need to find R and R squared and explain what that means. Okay, so this now is exactly like the test that we just had. Everything else is the standard deviation and variance stuff, which we just did up above. Okay, so why does that keep happening? So let's draw a scatter diagram. Let's take a look at our X values. We range from, it looks like 5 to about 30, it looks like. So 5 to 30, that's 25. So we can just go by fives. And our Y values range from 2 to about 11. So we could just do ones. I did that the wrong way. All right. So let's just like label these. So this is our y-axis, the vertical axis. So we go up 1, 2, 3, all the way up. And then our x values start at about 5 and they go up to 30. So we need 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and we'll just say 35 is over here. So then our job is just to plot these, which I'm guessing we can do. So I'm going to mute myself and do this. Okay, so we get the scatter plot. Just from this, we should know that R is going to be greater than 0, right? If we had to guess a line of best fit, it would be something along the lines of this, right? Obviously, that's not good, but it's going to be a positive slope. Therefore, R is greater than 1. And they're not super like close to the line. So my guess is that like 0.7-ish range, if not a little bit higher. But we should have a very good idea about what R should be. I'm not asking you to write that. I'm just asking you to think about that. Okay, so that's part A. Just graph, do the scatter diagram. Okay, then we have to find X bar. So this is part A. Part B. So X bar is just the sum of X over N, which in this case is 15. Sum of X, I'm giving you 248 divided by 15. And when we plug that into a calculator, we get 16.5-ish. Same thing for Y bar. That's the sum of Y over 15. That's 97 over 15, which is we'll call it 6.5. Also, just as like a warning, not really a warning, just so it doesn't freak you out when you get a different answer than I do, I'm going to round probably differently than you're going to round. You might round to the nearest hundredth or the nearest thousandth or something like that. I'm just rounding to the tenth. I'm making it easy on myself. And I'm going to use these rounded answers later on. That's why our differences might be more different as we go. Okay, so that's X bar, Y bar. Then we need to find B. So B, as I said above, that's N times the sum of X times Y minus the sum of X times the sum of Y all over sum of X squared minus the sum of X and then squared. Okay, so now we just got to plug that stuff in. N is 15. Sum of XY, that comes to 1825. Minus the sum of X, 248. Times the sum of Y, which is 97. What's my favorite deodorant flavor? I don't think that's how you describe them. But you do you. It makes sense that you call it that. But I'm just here to do math. Okay, so we set this up. I'm going to do this step by step so we see, because some people don't type this stuff in right. So I'm going to show you how I do it. So I do 15 times 1825. That's 27,375. Minus 248 times 97. That's 24,056. I like Fiji. Is that a... Okay. Congrats. I'm happy for you. I'm glad you found your deodorant flavor of choice. Did I type something wrong? Yeah, I'm missing a 7. I typed this wrong. This should be 27,375. I'll buy you Fiji for Christmas. Okay. Nice. I'm glad my students are buying me flavors of deodorant. I must have made a really big impact on them. Okay. So we get that slope. It's about 0.293, which is just over a fourth and just under a third. So just keep that in mind when we're talking about like rise over run, just as kind of a rule of thumb. All right. So we found B, then we find A. That is y bar minus B times x bar. So y bar is 6.5. X bar is 16.5. So we get 1.67. So then our equation for y hat, given all of this stuff. So that's all we were trying to do in part B, really, is to find y hat. That is A plus bx, which is 1.67 plus 0.293x. So that's the equation of our line of best fit. And then we have to plot that. I'm just looking for kind of the best you can do. So this doesn't necessarily have to be exact. I understand you're drawing the problem. But 1.6, that's about here. And then it's going up about 1 every 4. So it's going to look a little bit of it like this. And then maybe we can label it. And that's part B. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so we can fit this all. All right, so that's all of our work for part B. Part C says to find r and r squared. I'll do that in green. And I'll do it in blue. Okay, so r, that's that really long equation. So n sum of xy minus sum of x sum of y all over the square root of all that stuff. So it's that. So all we have to do is plug in numbers. So 15 times the sum of xy, that is 1825, minus the sum of x, 248, times the sum of y, 97, we want the square root of 15 times the sum of x squared, which is 4856, minus 248 squared, times the square root of 15 times the sum of y squared, so 731, minus the sum of y and then squared, so 97 squared. So I'm going to meet myself. I'll kind of do this step by step like I did in that teal color, and we'll get an answer. Also, just for r, it's the same numerator as b, so you should get 3319. So I'll just do that. But all the work is in b. Okay, so we do all that calculation, we get r is equal to 0.79, which is pretty close to what we guessed. Greater than 0, around 0.7, that makes sense. So that's r. R squared is just the square of that. I'm squaring the thing in my calculator, so it might not be the same for you. When we do that, we get 0.625. And then this tells us that 62%, 62.5%, I guess I'll be exact, of variation is explained. And then 100 minus that. So 37.5% is not explained. So there's a little bit more going on than just the line, but it's pretty close. Okay, So then that's the entire test. So I'm gonna maybe zoom. I'm gonna capture all that and make it smaller so we can see it all in one. But that is pretty much the entire thing. I did not put a prediction one on this. I don't think I typed it in on the test. If I did, all the prediction thing is asking is you to plug in a certain value in for x into y hat. Okay, so on the test last time, it said calculated for when x is 15%. So you just plugged 15 in for x, and then you got some number for y hat, and then that's your prediction. Okay, but this is the entire thing I'm asking you. So scatter diagram, find x bar, find y bar, find b, find a, all that gets you y hat, and then you're solving for r and r squared, and you're explaining what that means. Okay. Again, in this case, I'm giving you the sum of x, the sum of x squared, and all that stuff. So that should help you out a little bit. You just have to know the equations. So that's the entirety of the test. 1 and 2, or 1 went by pretty quick. 2 takes a little bit of time, but again, so long as you know those equations, it's just plugging in numbers. And I kind of did a lot more calculation than you probably need, but yeah. So I'll mute myself for a second. I'll scroll up to question 1. And if you have any questions, please let me know so I can work it out. Let me put it this way. In the next like 3 minutes, let's say, if no one has any questions, I'll end it, and then I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay. So at like 7:58 or so, I'll shut this down, provided no one has questions. So if you do have questions, again, I'm happy to work them out. I just want to make sure that we understand what's happening. So take a minute, maybe look through that. If you want to like pause and go through the other part of the video, that's fine too. But at about 7:58, I'll close it down. Can you still watch it? Yeah. So long as I end the screen. Yeah. So long as I end the stream. You also have the link in your email. If you just follow that, even if it's not up, it should still be there. So there's like it. If you can't find it, go back to the link I sent you on the email. Also, just as like a reference, um, this has been going on for I saw like 55 minutes somewhere. Oh, 52 minutes and 30 seconds, and like 10 of which I haven't been doing anything. So this is definitely doable within that amount of time. So I've been explaining everything. This is 100% doable within the allotted time during the exam. So long as we kind of don't panic and we have our equations known, this should go by pretty smoothly. All right. So doesn't seem like anyone has any questions. So I'm going to end the stream. If you have any other questions, please email me. I'll be there in the morning. Your exam is first. So if you have questions, like last minute questions right before the bell, that's fine. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow and good luck.